Welcome back to another episode of Visibility Era. It's your host, Bridget Cisco and Lydia Bagarosa, and we are changing things up today with our guest, Luciana. Welcome, Luciana.
Thank you. Hello. It's so nice to be here.
Yeah, this is fun. I was sharing before the show started, like we're so used to talking about all things PR and media and interviewing writers and journalists. And we've been also thinking about, visibility is such a wide net. Our business is visibility on purpose. The show is Visibility Era. So why not talk about a completely different channel today, which is all things YouTube. So yeah, Luciana, we're excited to have you here and sharing all things YouTube. But I think my first question is like, why YouTube? Like, give us the why, give us the pitch for YouTube.
So I love that question because for me, YouTube kind of happened by accident many years ago. So I've been in the digital space for 15 years. And around 7 years ago, I decided that I wanted somewhere where I could go more in depth, right? So my thing was Instagram. I was all about growing on Instagram and teaching Instagram tips and tricks and all the things. And this was before we had, 15-minute videos on Instagram. This was before we had carousel posts. So I was just like, where can I give my audience juicier, meatier content? YouTube. That sounds like a good idea. So I started a YouTube channel, but the great thing is that I did it just for the content. And I didn't really see YouTube as a place for marketing or visibility or, really growing an audience because I was very naive, right? So I'm here doing all this content on Instagram and all this content on YouTube. And then I started launching my online products and the whole thing just blew up. So I was doing launches. Anybody who has an online product knows how it goes. You do launches every few months, create all this content to generate leads. And there I was. And this whole time I'm like, Instagram is where the sales are at, but I'm still posting on YouTube and I'm just linking my things unpretentiously on YouTube. And then what happened is I had intense, debilitating burnout, which landed me in the hospital, and I was out of commission for like literally a year where all I did was cry and look at dog videos. So no work whatsoever. And after many, many months of that, like panic attacks when thinking about my business and depression and all that, one day I decided to check my business account, which was literally, I had not looked at anything business related. And I had a lot of money in there that was not there before. It was like 6 digits in there that I didn't have before. And I was like, what? Are we allowed to say that? I'm sorry, but
you're allowed to curse on here.
What the fuck, right? Like, where did this come from? And so that's kind of what got me out of like major funk and put me in detective mode. And I found that, all these products that I had been creating along the way, accidentally, they were evergreen and they were linked through all of my videos. And that time period of a year where I was out of commission, my channel grew by almost 100,000 subscribers. I got millions of views without doing anything. And then I had my aha moment. I was like, wait a minute, like what's going on? Like when I posted on Instagram when I was back, like I got crickets. And so Instagram was like punishing me for being human and getting sick, while YouTube was rewarding me for literally doing nothing. And that's when I really started to look at YouTube through a different lens, right? It was delivering my content to people who were searching for the problems that I solve. And it was nurturing those people because, if you're spending 15, 30 seconds in Instagram stories with someone, you're not really developing any sort of intense connection. Whereas on YouTube, you spend 15, 20, 30 minutes with someone when you watch their videos. So you just get your audience so much more warmed up and you really build that authority. So, based on that experience that I had, I really started to see YouTube as kind of the center of like my universe in business. It's from YouTube that I've gotten invitations to speak at events or to go on interviews, and 70% of my followers on Instagram come from YouTube. So it really is the place that helps get everything else in my business in motion, not to mention sales on autopilot, which I feel is the dream of every entrepreneur. And I don't understand why nobody's talking about this. I mean, people are talking about it, but why aren't more people talking about it, right?
Yeah, YouTube sounds like the Mecca, and I know Bridget's wheels are turning. I'm looking at her, and she's gonna, after this conversation, she's gonna be like, okay, Lydia, here's a strategy. But okay, so this show is centered around visibility. And I would
Mhm.
love to hear, before we get into like the nitty-gritty of the YouTube strategy, which I definitely want to touch on, what was like your journey into visibility? I know that you started, or I don't know, I was looking at your Instagram, and there was something about a fashion blog and starting there. And so I'd love to hear like how you went from blogging and video and then YouTube, and now you're saying that you're doing like events and podcasts, and what that felt like through the whole journey.
Yeah, so visibility changed my life and my business for sure.
Wow.
Like I said, I've been in the online space for 15 years. So what that looked like 15 years ago was a fashion blog.
Yeah.
And I think my first foray into business was really monetizing that blog and working with brands on sponsored content and affiliate marketing and all that. And then not YouTube, Instagram came into the scene. And at this point, I was living in my hometown back in Brazil. So I had, grown up, done all the things in the US, gone back to Brazil. And there really was nobody talking about like using Instagram for business and for just, getting visible, right? Do you
Yeah.
remember like filters and people like
Gosh,
friends, woohoo on Instagram?
the
Yeah.
filters were so funny. If you go back in time from when I like first started my Instagram, I remember posting pictures of like my coffee with like 10 filters on it. And I thought it was so moody and artsy. 4 likes. Such a
100%.
different
Yes.
place.
Yep. And that's what it was. It was like this place where people just shared their friends and their day-to-day lives. And I really started to look at it as a way to get more visibility for my blog, and grow my audience. So that started to work. But again, like I said, 70% of my followers on Instagram ended up coming from YouTube, because I was like, okay, Instagram, I'm doing all these tutorials. This is great. This is awesome. But like, how do I dive deeper? And I found out that when people have questions and you have answers, a place like YouTube or Google, for blogs where you can optimize for SEO gets you so much visibility, because you can really be intentional about the content that you're creating and target that ideal audience, right? That ideal client. So it was like visibility that kind of worked backwards for me. Like, okay, Instagram's getting me a lot of visibility. Cool. How do I share this with more people? YouTube, awesome. And now it's getting me more visibility, which was amazing. But it's definitely something that like everyone who, comes up to me or sends me a DM or sends me an email is like, hey, I love your YouTube, or hey, I saw this video. So I know that they're coming from YouTube, and like I said, spending that time with me and getting to know me and then deciding to follow me or reach out.
Yeah. So when I was looking at your Instagram this past week, and we had just met this week, so it's
Yeah.
kind of everything was just like bam, bam, bam. What I thought was really unique about your videos, and something different that you're doing on Instagram that I don't see a lot of people do, is you were so casual. You still had really good content, but your videos had more of like, I'm a friend talking to you. So did that kind of come to you naturally, or like what did that, I'm like giving away your secrets. Like how did you start talking to your audience in that way? Because I feel like a lot of us can kind of get a little robotic, especially when we're not used to speaking on camera.
Absolutely. So I think that, first of all, I love breaking the rules. And one thing that I see and have seen for a long time is, anybody who's talking business or marketing or strategy they feel like they have to, use gold because that's like high ticket, or, be very businessy or serious. And there's lots of people who are going away from that now. But like, that was one of the first things that I thought to myself, like, I don't want to be that person. Like, I want business to be fun. If it's not fun, there is no use doing it. Like, why am I even here? Right. So from the very beginning, I had this intention of speaking to my followers, my audience, and my clients as friends. And if you like really go deep into my content, like my newsletter, I address my audience as migas, which means friends in Portuguese. And that's just like how we talk casually in conversation, like, hey, miga, did you see that movie? And that's how I speak to my audience, even, my English speaking audience, because that's how I want to see them. I want to be a friend who helps them achieve those digital dreams, that building their online empire dream. And I don't want to speak, down from them or from like this place where like I know better, because I was there once, I was in that place once, and I had to do the work and hope that somebody would help me.
So true.
Yeah.
One of the things I saw on your Instagram too, it might have been from a little while ago, but you were like, is Instagram dying? And this is something that Lydia and I have actually recorded a bunch of episodes on, not necessarily talking about how it's dying, but just that there are other ways to focus on longevity and sustainability of your business. And like we talk about that through PR, because when you're getting these articles or you're on a podcast, that obviously lives way, way longer than that one fleeting post on Instagram. So let's talk about like how YouTube works in terms of SEO for anyone who doesn't really understand that concept and search terms and searchability.
Absolutely. Just like a little bit of spoiler, like I don't think Instagram is dying, but it has matured so much, because like I remember when I used to get like thousands and thousands and thousands of likes per post, and it's just not that way anymore. But that's something that's inherent to any social platform, I believe. Right? We lived through the era of MySpace. We lived through Facebook being the thing, and Instagram is just part of the journey. The thing about YouTube that really sets it apart is that YouTube is a search engine. YouTube is like Google. In fact, it's owned by Google. So it doesn't depend on, whatever trend is happening right now. Oh, Reels is the thing. So now that you do more Reels, you get more reach. No, it's a search platform, and that's what gives it its superpowers. So let's talk about those superpowers, right? The first is, in fact, search. When you know who you're talking to so well, better than they know themselves, you know exactly what to create so that you become that first search result when they're searching for the thing that you're the solution for. So that's super powerful. And I love actually conducting interviews from time to time in my business to really go back to like, what are my clients really thinking? Like, what are the words that they are using to describe those pains and desires, and really incorporating that in my titles, in my actual video, because yes, the algorithm can like listen to what you're saying and use that to rank you, in my descriptions, in my tags, in my thumbnails, everything, right? So searchability is a major, major superpower of YouTube. And the fact is that once your video is ranked, it's ranked for life. So you get a video at the top of the search results, that video is not going to go anywhere unless somebody comes along and makes a video that's so much, so much, so much better than yours that it drops you down to second. But in my experience, that has never happened. Once you rank, you are ranked for life, and those views just keep coming in through search, which is amazing. So that's the first thing. The second thing is content longevity. Okay, that's a hard word for me as a Brazilian, but I think it's right? Longevity. Where, again, once you're ranked for life. And that is so different from the way that our traditional social media platforms work, that value recency, right? That make your content just disappear after a few hours or days or weeks. So a video that you create today can be bringing you leads and sales and visibility and authority for years to come. I have a video from 5 years ago that literally brings me sales every single day. I like typed it out on a screen, on a spreadsheet to see. When I say every day, is that true? Yes, it's true. It brings me sales every single day, and it's 5 years old. So you get the opportunity, right, to just create that one piece of content and let it do the work for you. And then with the search results, that's just like the most amazing part of the whole thing, is that you're ranked for life, and then those leads, those sales just keep coming. And that is a characteristic of a search result, not of social media platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this is the biggest thing that I have in my mind. What if you're not good at editing videos? Like, I've found that, I can record a video like this teaching something. It's very simple, right? But the you're not changing, there's no B-roll, there's nothing like exciting. So it tends that the user or the watcher doesn't love it as much. So what do you say to the like video editing newbie who's like, yeah, YouTube's a great idea, like you're selling on us already, but where do you start?
I love that question, because it is the question that I get the most often. And it makes me think of my first video that blew up, where I was literally doing a app tutorial on my phone, like to the camera, and I'm like putting the phone up to the camera, and it looks really bad. And it's I think at this point it has 1,200,000 views, but it's bad. Like, it's a bad quality video. Now, I'm not saying that you should, upload bad quality video. I'm saying that YouTube is a learning curve, and you just have to start, right? Just start making videos. If you're doing it just for the visibility, if you have a business, like you're really thinking about using this as a tool to grow your visibility, to get more sales, to build authority, then I think like anything else that you do, you treat it like your business. So, if you're putting together a website and you're not sure what you're doing, maybe you hire someone to help you. Maybe you invest in a course. Maybe you get a coach. I guess where I'm trying to go with this is you can absolutely grow on YouTube just by being yourself and creating content and using what you have, like your cell phone and a bright window. But if you want to do that faster and more intentionally, then treat it like a business, because YouTube really is a long-term investment in your business. Like, it is going to bring you that return for a very long time. So I think treat it like the return that it can give you, right?
Gosh, I love that. I'm literally like, all right, Bridget, this is what we're doing from now on. Okay, my question for you is, and this question has popped into my head a lot because I see an evolution. All of us go through evolutions of business where if you're doing a service, you start doing the service. I feel like you kind of did it a little backwards, but I still want your thoughts on this, where you start doing a service and then you start posting on like YouTube, and then it shifts more into selling digital products and you being more of a creator. So I'd love to hear like what your day-to-day kind of looks like and where you spend your hours, like content creating or client creating versus like product creation.
Perfect. I love the thing about YouTube that really has made my life so much simpler is that content creation no longer takes up like my entire life in business, right? Which I feel like is something that people feel a lot. So basically what I do is I create 4 videos per month. So I sit down one day, all I do is record those videos, and those videos go up every Tuesday. So once a month, 4 videos. But the amazing thing is that I created this strategy where one video turns into 92 different touch points across social media. So I can take that one video and create a carousel post, a trending reel, little, what I call teasers, so little snippets of the video that go up, listicles, co-posts. Anyway, it's literally 92 points of contact across social media. And that's actually just a strategy that you can recreate for any long form piece of content. So for podcasting, you can take that long form piece of content and turn it into 92 touch points. Same thing with blogs, right? So bloggers out there who create this really rich content can turn that into 92 touch points that are appropriate for each platform. So content creation is not something that takes up a lot of my time. I do okay, so back to YouTube, because it's so scalable and there's so many hot leads coming in from this platform, you as a service provider really need to think about scalability if you're using YouTube. So my signature program, for instance, is an evergreen program. It's highly scalable because I don't have a cap on how many clients I can support. So basically Tuesdays are my client support day with my team. So I do have a team that like helps me in the community, helps me on the group coaching calls, but on Tuesdays I actually show up to the coaching calls. And then the rest of the time is really just, being a CEO, thinking about my business. How can I expand it? My latest expansion has been to the, US English speaking market. But, what are other products that I want to really bring to the table? Like, what are my next visibility goals, which is something very real that I think about. So basically, I feel like sometimes I feel like I'm talking about, how those people are like, oh, you can totally like work from a beach and not be attached to your laptop. And I know that I felt that was impossible in many years ago. And it kind of feels like something that, people say to get sales, but like, it's true. Like, that's what I'm going through now. And it's only because of YouTube. God, they should pay me.
I know they
should pay
like,
me.
she's
And
the
they don't.
biggest fan.
I did see your cool plaque from YouTube and I was like, oh my God, that's so
Yes.
shiny. I think that this is the exact thing that a lot of entrepreneurs go through. And I think a lot of people kind of like sugarcoat the beginning, because sometimes the beginning, you put in the legwork, you did. And now you get to this point where like you actually can sit from a beach. Like you did have a moment where you were burnt out and then you realized like what you needed to do to pivot. So can you tell us what your schedule you talked about it a little bit, but maybe what your
Lydia
schedule
wants
looks
a
like?
play-by-play of when you wake up in the morning until you go to bed at
It's
night.
literally what I want. Well, okay, I just feel like a lot of business owners go through this point where they're doing all the things, they get burnt out. Like, you're not the first person to tell me this. I also was really burnt out at one point. I had like nerve pain. It was like a whole thing, and I didn't realize it all was stemming from anxiety and like overworking myself. And this past year, I think Bridget and I have done a really good job of like structuring our schedules, and we can even do it better. So I'd love to hear what that looked like for you and like structuring post your burnout. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
really
Yeah. So I think that the first thing that I will not do ever is wake up and have an hour in bed with my coffee and a book. Like, if I don't do that, my whole day is shot and it just doesn't happen, right? And it just throws me off of my game. And so I'm like I keep my boundaries about that, right?
Yeah. Wait,
And
what
then I
kind
go
of
work
book?
out. What
Oh,
kind of book?
sorry.
Okay, that's a
Yeah.
great question. I read nonfiction in the mornings and fiction before I go to sleep. So I read a novels, like romance, when I go to
Oh,
sleep, but in the
yes.
morning it's all about like business books, nonfiction, self-help. Is that what they're called? Like, but
Self-development. I've
self-development.
decided.
I like that better. Yeah.
I feel like it used to be called self-help, and now I'm like self-development, because self-help sounds like less shiny. I mean, those books are so big. Like, Bridget's always talking about different books that she's reading, and I'm envious of that. I need to hop on that train, but books in the morning, absolutely.
Books in the morning.
10
And
out of
I
10.
do not consume any content before, my coffee and my book and my workout. So when I get back from working out, shower, food. And so I usually just sit down to actually get to work around noon. So I have like a big breakfast/lunch thing that I'm not really sure what it's called. And then I have another meal at like 5 p.m. and then I have dinner. So it's like, I don't know. My meal schedule's weird. I don't think anybody will be able to relate to that. But sit down to work around noon. And then usually what that looks like is just making sure that everyone on my team is following their processes. I've spent a lot of time in my business creating processes so that things don't have to pass through me, because that was a big mistake that, I it happened to me. It contributed to my burnout for sure. So I've spent a lot of time creating processes where people can get things done without talking to me. And of course, they'll tag me in our Notion board if they have a question, if they need anything. But Notion, it was that like a heart for, yes, I love Notion. It like my whole
Obsessed.
business is on Notion. Obsessed, same.
We use Notion. Yeah. Bridget got me onto Notion. And at first I was like kind of not really into using it. And now I'm all about it. I'm getting better at integrating a little bit more because I went from like Google Drive to Notion, but it is robust.
It is robust. But the thing that I love about it is that you can literally create anything for your needs in your business.
Yeah.
So there's definitely a learning curve. I did hire someone to help me with that, with creating these processes, which was a really good investment in my business, and like not that expensive and like insanely returnable. Like got me so much return. So I just spend like 1 or 2 hours just like making sure everything's where it should be. Usually I do this like twice a week. So not every day, but maybe twice a week. I sit down with all the processes, make sure everything's running, look at all the content, look at the content calendar. And then I check if I need to review any copywriting, if I need to record any videos, and basically kind of just like map out when I want to do what, because I like time blocking. So, maybe I'll sit down for 2 hours and see like, okay, so I have to write 3 emails for the next 2 weeks. And then I'll just sit down and write those emails. And that's all I'll do that day. I'll have days where all I'll do is calls. So, calls like these, maybe I have a meeting with my team. Maybe I want to hop on a call with a potential client or do one of those interviews that I mentioned. I'll do all of those also in one day. So it's really hard to be like every single day is like this because every day it looks different. But my work really consists of, writing copy, creating content, which usually is YouTube scripts and emails that I really like writing emails because it goes back to that feeling of like, hey, Miga, what's up? Here's an update, which is the same way I feel about the videos on YouTube. So writing, recording, and then just being with my clients in our community and inside my signature program.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for going through basically the day-to-day, because I think there's just so many businesses and so many things that happen throughout the day, and no one really talks about what it looks like. So that really paints a picture of like you not only being a YouTube creator, but also having robust products, and SOPs are so important. Something that we've really been focusing on over the past few months is like delegating, like who do we delegate to? And so confirmation for everybody out there who's trying to really build something where it doesn't feel like you're getting bogged down. So yeah.
I love that you mentioned products too, right? Because I think that's a big part of why it feels so easy now. And again, let's stress that yes, I am 15 years in, right? I am 7 years into like actual digital products. And I think creating a product that works for you instead of the other way around is really important. So in my business, I've really been intentional about creating products that are from the get-go scalable. So what that means is I don't open and close carts, which, is a lot of work either for me or for my team. We don't do launches. I do launches like very sporadically when I feel like it, because sometimes I just like that excitement, but they're very rare in my business these days. So my products are evergreen, so no launching, and really having a way to reach your ideal client all the time, like YouTube. So I build out my products thinking about YouTube and how YouTube can really get me those leads, and then get me my leads into a funnel. Everything is automated, and then just watch it happen and take care of my clients. Like that's the important part to me, like being there on the front end, like videos and, that front end content, and in the back end, just like really nurturing and caring and helping my clients with their strategy and with their implementation.
Yeah, thank you. Longevity, for anyone that's listening today, longevity is key. And Lu does such an amazing job of teaching us how we can use things like YouTube or Press with VOP, but YouTube to really support our business because it is a search engine, like you shared at the end of the day, and
Yeah.
that's so valuable and scalable. So where can we find you? What is your name on YouTube? What is your name on Instagram? Tell us all the things.
Yay. Okay. You can find me everywhere at Lu Levy. So Lulevy. You can also go to lulevy.com/no-launch. So no launch, right? Because we're doing evergreen here. To watch a full training on how to create that scalable evergreen product and then use YouTube to really just build that sales machine. So that's lulevy.com/no-launch.
Thank you so much for sharing your value today. We so appreciate it. And thank you, everybody, for listening to another episode of Visibility Era, the podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun.